What's going on, guys? So in this video we're going to break down 10 powerful principles that formulate the upward spiral of excellence self-development program. And in this lesson I'm going to also show you this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Steve Covey, where I first discovered this program. And it's like a story about this horse that was climbing up a mountain, and the person riding the horse, they couldn't see anything because there was fog. And then the person asked the horse, aren't you scared? How are you going to get to the top of the mountain? And the horse said, I will take one step at a time. So if you are in a bad situation, start following these principles, take one step at a time. And in a relatively short period of time, your whole life can be transformed. But you have to commit to 3 months, 6 months, a year. And a year can sound like a long time, but you guys know that time flies. So let's get into these 10 principles. So the upward spiral of excellence is a very powerful self-development program that can transform your life. It reminds me of a quote that goes something like this: time swings with great penalties to those who do not understand the natural laws, but with great rewards to those who do understand. So these are principles that make up the upward spiral. I'll call these natural laws, many of these things. And just to show you, this is where I first discovered about the concept of the upward spiral 16 years ago, when I first read this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And these principles in this book also formulate the principles of the upward spiral. This is just a small portion of the principles of the upward spiral. So let's get into these 10. This is a very important principle because most people don't really commit to the process, because at this stage, in the beginning of anything, your progress can seem very small. But if you commit over a long period of time, the growth is exponential. So this is an exponential curve or a compound progress curve. And in the beginning, it's so important to point out that it's slow. But if you actually commit and really are diligent and dedicated, and on a daily basis you show up, you unlock this power. And this is an unbelievable power. We track our habits over a long duration of time. You see, this is 365 days. And the next principle I want to talk to you about is called synergy. The sum total of a certain group of parts exceeds the total number of parts. So the effect is like a net positive effect. So what happens here is that our program, we propose 5 core habits. So learning and business, nervous system regulation, morning journaling, exercise and cold approach, or networking. Those are habits we do on a daily basis. And when we do those in conjunction with one another, there's an effect called a synergistic effect, where they all work together to improve the performance of each individual one. And then all 5 working together improves your performance in anything you do. The synergy of habits. It's important to point out that if we do things like use hardcore drugs or drink a lot of alcohol, we can collapse this whole system. And that's one of the reasons that addictions are such a harmful thing. And trust me, I would know about it because I've been an addict most of my life. So the principle of what gets measured gets managed. And this is a principle that applies to businesses and to your life. You know, any kind of business, if it doesn't take an inventory, if it doesn't manage its stock, if it doesn't manage its expenses and measure them, it's not going to be in business very long. And it's the same with you as a human. We are measuring our habits. So because I measure it, look how consistent I am. I haven't missed one day of all these habits. I did all of them every day. When you track your habits, another important thing that happens is you develop a consistency streak. You see, I've got a consistency streak there. It's on day 28 now. So today or tomorrow, the thought of me not doing these habits doesn't enter my mind, because I'm not breaking the chain. I'm going to get an unbroken chain until I get to 365, and then I'm going to have a party. Let's go to the next principle, guys. Reduced friction and momentum. In the beginning, when a rocket ship goes to the moon, it uses more fuel to get out of the Earth's atmosphere than it does to travel the next, I don't know, however far the moon is, like 1 million kilometers. And the reason for that is that the resistance initially is the highest, and once that atmosphere is broken through, the resistance diminishes. And this is the very same thing that applies to your habits and to skill development. in the beginning, it is so important to break through that barrier, and then you will have less resistance. And this principle also applies because let's say I'm starting out to try and make money online. I've never done it before, okay? I need to learn different things. I don't know how to use the programs or whatever. So there's a lot of resistance for me to do it. But give me 2 weeks, give me 3 weeks of doing action every day and learning and tracking it, and I'm going to be actually quite competent. Like me with these videos. I used to make these videos and like stop and start like 100 times. This one I've done it like 4 times and I now I've got it in the flow. This is very important to remember, and also the reduced friction and momentum is also linked with the synergy of the habits, because when I'm doing all these positive habits, I'm journaling every day, giving myself a positive self-image, looking at gratitude, training, eating well, sleeping, whatever, then my performance is better, my self-image is better, my confidence is better, my everything's better. And that it also includes the nervous system regulation. You know, in the program we teach that you must take time every day to meditate and relax. After this video, I'm going to do that. Reduces the friction. You know, many people are overstimulated and that increases friction and problems with the prefrontal cortex, but that's another story. Let's go to the 5th principle now. Skill acquisition and self-discipline. This is about learning to have discipline over your mind and then developing skills with that discipline. So skill acquisition, for example, like journaling. Many of you have never done journaling before. That's a skill that you develop on the program because of doing the program and doing the journals every day. It's important to remember that with skill acquisition in any field, it could be cold approach, it could be social skills, it could be business. The beginning's going to be the hardest. You're going to have that friction. It's going to be like this. Some days it'll feel like this, but then once you do it for a while, trust me, you'll be fine. And these skills also transfer to each other. So let's go to number 6, guys. 0.001% club. So you guys want results of the 1%. Everyone does. To have money, be in shape, have a hot girlfriend, whatever, you know. Be successful. And if you want to, then you must live like the 1%. And not only do we live like the 1%, we live like the 0.001%. And this is actually an accurate figure, because I fed this to AI and I explained all these 5 habits we do on a daily basis, that we track it and we're consistent for like 365 days. And it came back and it told me this is 0.001% or even less of the population is living like that. So if you're living like that, guys, and you're really on the upward spiral following these principles, then you're a monster. And these principles, it's important to remember that you can never fully adhere to these principles. You can always just adhere to them better. And I don't sit here and claim to be like a master of any of this. Okay, let's go to the 7th, the 3 pillars. I want you to really understand this, that real true success is when you have health, wealth, and relationships simultaneously. You know that a person who's healthy and he's got a lot of money, but he's got shit relationships in his life, he's not a rich man. A guy who has a lot of money, but he's unhealthy, he is definitely not a rich man. And the health is actually the key of all of this, but all of them are important. So what we focus on the program is being extremely successful in all 3 of these areas. The reason we're extremely successful in all of them is because we first of all do the habits every day that benefit all these areas. And second of all, because I'm successful with my health, I have more probability of being successful with my wealth. If I'm more successful with my relationships, I have more chance of being successful with my health and my wealth. It works all together. It's the same concept as synergy, actually. It works together. If my health is compromised, let's say like when I was a drug addict, right? I used to use like so much cocaine and then I'd use it. And then afterwards, my neurochemistry would be compromised. I'd be full of cortisol, my dopamine would be depleted, all kind of reactions would be happening, and my health was compromised, my mental health and that, my physical health. So because of that, I couldn't work properly. I couldn't build the wealth, and I also wasted all the money because it was also expensive. My relationship suffered because I was isolating. So because this one area was compromised, all 3 were. And it can be the same, like if your wealth is compromised, it can interfere with your mental health, your physical health, your relationships. So we need to think about balance, guys. On this program, it's about balance. All the habits that we do contribute to success in all 3 of these areas. You aren't on the spiral if you are a wealthy, lonely athlete or a broke, healthy socialite. The spiral requires the integration of all three to achieve true success. Let's talk about number 8, the downward spiral of destruction. So this is going to get serious, because it's all nice and well talking about success and we're going to win and it's going to be nice and we're going to be jacked and, you know, like have girls and stuff, but or a wife, you know, family. That's what I'm actually looking at now, as a family. The downward spiral of destruction happens. There's a book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. It's a great book. We actually summarize it for like children. It'll be available soon as well. But one of the things in Outwitting the Devils, he talks about a condition called drifting. And that is what actually starts the downward spiral of destruction. That's when a person loses their definite purpose in life, right? And then what happens, they start to skip their habits. And what happens with a lot of people, nervous system regulation. When the mind is overstimulated, it's much easier, it's very hard, for the prefrontal cortex to operate like executive functions. And what happens because of that is like a lot more impulsive behavior starts happening. Yeah, the impulsive behavior and addictions and stuff like that. And often getting into like the fight or flight response, often anxious. When that, like a really clever guy that knows neuroscience taught me about this, and he told me to focus on this. And when I started to do this and focus on regulating my nervous system, my thought process became clearer. I became much more confident and grounded in social interactions, because I'm also actually a pickup coach, a social skills coach. That's like my main like work, I would say. But self-development, it's all about self-development. It's very important, and people don't do it. You know, people know that meditation's good, they know that all this stuff's good, but they don't do it. And I hope that I can convince some of you guys not only to do these habits, but to do all of them together. Yeah, a calm mind thinks clearly, concentrates longer, makes better decisions, and it speeds up the spiral. And if you're unregulated, you can make really bad decisions. And if you also maybe a person that struggles from addiction, like really focus on this regulated nervous system, because it reduces the cravings. And also these habits reduce all cravings for drugs, exercise, journaling, all these things. You think completely different. So the final principle is called increased speed of momentum as the spiral ascends. So as you are on this life path and you're doing all these good habits, you're being proactive and you're following these principles to the best of your abilities, what's going to happen is that you're going to move up, and as you gain more skills and you gain some more resources, you gain some more connections, any kind of things that expands because of your action taking and improves, that is going to assist you as you increase your height of the upward spiral, if that makes sense. So as you go on, we've got some graphics on this, as you go on and you learn the skills and you do that and you do that, you start to speed up faster and faster. And that's basically the same principle as compound interest. It's like you build something and it builds on itself and it builds on itself and it expands exponentially. So that speed of momentum principle is also applied to the principle of exponential growth, the first one that I showed you, this one here. Because let's say over here you're working, you're posting, nothing's happening, suddenly you get like better at doing the things and you build a little audience, and then one day, like over here, you have a video that gets 1 million views, and then boom, you go up much higher. And the real curve is actually even sharper than this. It can be, you know, it's like, look at people that started with nothing, guys, and they made empires. This is the principle that was at play with them. So anyway, I want to end this video by saying a quote by Albert Einstein, okay? He said that genius is not in complicating simple ideas, but in simplifying complicated ideas. Self-development is a complicated idea. This is about people's life journey. This is about becoming successful and all that. And what we've done in this program, over 5 years of working on this theory, I can show you guys in the next videos. If you comment down below, I'll show you the old graphics from like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. They're very different. We got all these principles. We summarizing all the best self-development books for kids. We have a whole program for children that we do for free, and we give them like books with journals and stories about the upward spiral. Let me show you guys quickly, why not? So I'm with my friend Sir Klein from Iceland right here, and what we just showed you is part of the children's program material. So what we're doing in the company is taking all the best self-development books, like one of them that we've done, for example, is called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and then we convert that to like educate teachers and parents how to win over their children and influence them effectively. And also we take that book and we adapt it to a children's book that teaches the children how to socially interact with each other on a high level. So we've done that with multiple books. This is an example of a cartoon that we've made that teaches children these principles that we just spoke about, guys. And you know, in the future, who's going to save the world and make the world a better place? It's the children. These children that are born today are going to do things that we couldn't even imagine. So let's invest in them, and we're going to do it in Iceland too, you know what I'm saying?
Most definitely, we're going to bring it to the country, because that's an undeveloped country, and also most of these books that you are creating here with this subject, they have so much to give. Should not only be for the grown-ups to take and read, because their power in these books should be to all genders, and to move it back to that is just magnificent. Creating the power and the desire to achieve so much for the young generation, for our coming.
Exactly, you know, like one of the books that we were also summarizing is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. It's one of the most famous self-development books in history, and one of the things, like in the children's book, one of the first principles in his book is to have a burning desire to achieve something, you know, as a starting point of success. And it's got like a picture of like a robot, and it's saying like start a burning desire, and it explains it in a way that children can understand. And what's great, and the reason we can do it in Iceland, is because we are using artificial intelligence to create these books. So we feed the whole book into AI. We tell it, okay, make it for children, include different parameters, we have specialized prompts, and then it creates these books. But then we have the initial prompt for creating the book and even the book itself. And then we say, okay, take this book and turn it into a child from Iceland and talk about Vikings.
Yeah.
In the story.
Yeah,
and then
convert it into
you got a story about Vikings. So yeah, you part of our company, the USOE, you know, he's with us. He does what it takes. He goes gyms every day, works on his business, lives a good life in Thailand of freedom, you know. You've succeeded, you know, you look great, and that's what the USOE stands for. This is self-development happening on a daily basis. And we're going to make you your own like habit tracker with your country's flag on your name, and then he's going to track his habits for a whole year.
What it would be nice if to have access to this when I was young, because this was not when I was young. You just read like a regular children's book. No education, no really education.
Yeah.
So this would be, I think this would be a game changer in Iceland and just all Europe in general.
Yeah, we're actually planning to do this in the whole world. And if you guys want to join us, you can volunteer. And if you like say, okay, let's say you're in like, which country? Iraq. And you phone us and you say, we want to do it. We'll make these things in like Arabic for you. We've already actually had books in Arabic and other languages like Chinese and all that. I did it before, but I'm doing it again better this time. And I just want to say that, you know, if you're in a bad situation in your life, like if you like me, I saw these principles and these things like this upward spiral diagram. I saw that when I was sitting like in rehabs and stuff like that, and I saw that as my ticket to a better life. And it worked fast too.
Yeah.
Because the thing about this is like, okay, we're going to do these habits every day. That's the basis of it. You hold that upward steady trajectory, but then you get to a point where you're doing all of it, you feel so good, you're so empowered, things are going better, you're more positive, you're seeing things better, and then you're excelling. So not only I go to gym, like I go to gym twice a day now. When I work, my work is much more efficient. When I speak on camera, I'm much more coherent and I'm much calmer, and things just improve, guys. And that's what I want to tell you, like your whole life can change, but you have to go through this process. So join us, you can get all these tools for free. And if you want to join the children's program, that's like my actual real passion, is sharing this with the kids. We've done it in Thailand, we've done it in Philippines, South Africa, and a few other places, but that's what I like, bro, you know, like sharing this stuff, because people don't live like this. And also, if we live like this and we are champions, we will be examples for the youth.
I mean, you have all the things that you need. And most people, someone of course have it harder than the other, and someone has it lighter. But you have your two legs, you have your eyes, you have your brain, you have your hands. You can get the Bugatti. Everybody can get the Bugatti if you put in the work. That's the thing. But that's like what you said with the upward spine. It's you need to be more talked about it. Get people to get
Yeah,
and energy to do it, because always in the beginning you feel dumb when you're starting. But then it just gets better and better and easier and easier, and then just life works with you.
You know what I think the biggest thing about the upward spiral is to inspire people to make a start and just take that first step. Because once that start is made, even if it's a business you're thinking about or getting into gym or anything, once you've done, let's say 5 days in a row, you start to feel a bit like, you know what, I'm a guy that goes to the gym and you're doing business for 5 days. You look in the mirror and you say, is that a businessman looking back at me? You kind of look like a businessman, you know? You're doing pickup, you know, and you're approaching it, and then you look in the mirror like, is that a ladies' man that I see? You know what I'm saying? And
that's take the first step.
Yeah, and once you're on the path, the self-image takes care of itself. But I would say, guys, like it's just about knowing, like just take the next step. It's like the horse on the mountain with the fog. You know, the fog is surrounding him. He can't even see a few meters in front of him, but he can see the next one step, and that's all it is. You know what I mean?
How many? You gotta take the risk.
Yeah, there's no one in the world that can take more than one step at a time. Like, you can hire people and work with people, so your leverage is high. You can make more progress, but in terms of like individual output, when you can only do one thing at a time. And in this modern world, if you're not destroying yourself, you're already doing a great job. If you're not, you know, like drinking all the time and that, you know. But anyway, thanks, bro. Iceland is cool. You see the USOE, we rock with the Vikings, papa. See you guys.